What up, everybody? Welcome, welcome. First event of 2025. Jesse, welcome. How are you doing?
Hey Daniel, hey everybody. I am doing great. Excited to jump into the new year.
Awesome. Is it too late to say Happy New Year? We are almost in February, right?
Still in January, still in
Still in
January, so I
January.
think it's
Happy
fair in
New
my
Year,
book.
everyone.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. Jesse, how have you been? Long time no speak. What's going on, Jesse? We have been, so I know that there were a lot of rumors going on where you were, if you were around. Tell us, where have you been? What's going on?
Yeah, no, I've been lucky enough to have the family grow. So we were lucky to bring another little human into the world. So I've been taking care of my little one the past few months, which has
Wow.
been super, super fun. And been prioritizing a bit of that. And then also on the side, a lot of enterprise engagement. So still kind of preaching the good story around Energy Web to a lot of different energy regulators and electric utilities around the world, in particular on the digital spine solution. So I've still been here, haven't gone anywhere, but definitely been sticking it at home and hanging with the little one for the previous several months. So
Awesome.
yeah, but excited to be here speaking
That's
with
the
everybody
first
again.
official Energy Web baby, right? Oh,
Ooh, I
oh,
don't know if it's official.
nice.
Sure.
So, Jesse, have you been following what was going on last year? What were you most excited about?
Of course. I think in 2024, the biggest kind of exciting piece that EnergyWeb has brought to market is everything having to do with our worker node infrastructure and really just this decentralized physical network that we've brought together of all these different worker nodes. Obviously, you and I, Daniel, have been speaking about this concept for
No.
probably about 2 years now. But to see that entire network, and we're going to talk more about it now, actually out there, actually supporting real enterprise applications in a variety of different domains, that's a huge story and a huge accomplishment. So I think that's the thing I'm most excited about for what happened in 2024. And as we'll speak about this year, I really think we have an opportunity to bring that even further
Yep.
because we need to grow it, bottom line. And that's one of the reasons that we're here today speaking with everybody about
Yeah.
exactly that
Well,
topic.
so we had a big poll going on about who we need to bring on stage, and well, yeah, we brought everybody on stage. So please, everybody, welcome Mani and Ed. There you go, Mani and Ed. How are you guys doing?
Money. Thanks,
Hey,
thanks for having me. I'm glad to join. By the way, Jesse's kid is not the first one. I had another two kids in the last 8 years.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's
Right,
right.
right.
That's right.
so at first, I would like to congratulate to everyone in the team and everyone listening in. Yesterday we had our 8-year anniversary, and I'm really super proud of everything that this company and kind of the ecosystem has achieved. It's actually wild what we have achieved, because it's impossible, if you would think like, imagine you want to do a startup, an energy startup, and you aim for changing regulation worldwide, making it much simpler, putting down entry barriers for innovation in open source is unthinkable, and this company has achieved it in 8 years to work with regulators, on country level. So that's I'm super proud of the whole team.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Mani, how was your 2024, and how excited are you for 2025?
yeah, hi everyone. Also excited to be here. And yeah, I think 2024 was, to be honest, the most productive year for the whole team that they have brought in a lot of products finally into the market. Of course, we have been doing a lot of designs and market research and analysis and brainstorming that it was going on for the 2 years before that, together with Jesse and a lot others. But yeah, I think the last year was when we have seen all those came to life, all those software as a service platform, the worker node networks, and it has grown as this much of up to 1,700 distributed worker nodes all around the world. So yeah, it was very amazing.
And still, the total value locked is going up. Huh? I've seen that yesterday we hit a new milestone. I think it was 9.6, 9.5 million. So it's going,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
it's going great there.
nice.
Um, but obviously, we are not
I
here to
think
talk
I
about.
think this year we will achieve pretty much majority of the tokens on this chain. I think what Money and the team did was all the clients that are using Energy Web. From my perspective, it was the final breakthrough in Energy Web, so that now it has basically become commodity to build on Energy Web for corporates. That took us like the last 8 years, basically. First 4 years creating specifications, and then educating, working with corporates, building consortia, building those solutions. And now you finally have the worker node solutions where you can run any business logic. And Mani, how long does it take you to set up a business logic then and kick it off?
Not long.
Yeah.
Not long. No.
Cool. So, guys, 2025. Everybody is waiting for this. Let's kick off with Mani. Mani, what are some of the updates and exciting announcements we have for 2025? Do you want to kick off?
Yeah, of course, not a problem. But yeah, we have been hoping for a smoother year, 2025. But I think it's gonna be more.
It's gonna be wild.
Yeah, even more work for the team, and it's gonna be even more disruptive. So I think we're gonna have the most major upgrades that it's gonna happen on Energy Web chains. I think the main point is the concept of this multi-chain and multi-token support for the worker node networks is quite promising. And we're also having the final stages of the audit for the nominations of the worker nodes. And we're also going to open up the XCM channels for integrations with other parachains on the Polkadot ecosystems. So to enable that multi-token and multi-chain. So it's quite a lot of things packed, but I let Ed and Jesse explain about some backgrounds, then we can go through the details.
Awesome. Jesse, multi-chain.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah. I mean, just to set a little bit of context, as Ed and Mani were just describing, we've been working with enterprises for 8 years to build first a bunch of different proof of concepts, then a number of different actual working prototypes and minimum viable products. And now that's brought us to where we are now, where we have 2 real products that are enterprise products, right? Greenproofs and Digital Spine. And for those of you that are new to the Energy Web ecosystem, please use an AI chatbot or something and say, hey, someone explain to me Greenproof, someone explain to me Digital Spine. There's reams of documentation and resources out there to kind of educate yourself. Those are our 2 primary enterprise products. And then now we have this really this Web3 infrastructure supporting it, which is this worker node network. That has taken us an immensely long time to build. And so far, we've really gotten by on building everything I just described using 2 different blockchains as kind of the trust layer. So one is the legacy Energy Web chain. It's this proof of authority blockchain whereby Energy Web member organizations, which are primarily very large energy companies from around the world, and in some cases, actual energy regulators are running these nodes. And then on the other side, we have Energy Web X, which is a parachain on the Polkadot blockchain. And that's where a lot of this business intelligence is living for a variety of these applications and where a lot of the security comes from for these apps. One thing we have learned over those 8 years is that the enterprises are really interested in the applications themselves, the kind of value that those applications unlock. When I say value, I mean, how are those applications improving their bottom lines? What they are less interested in is potentially things like hosting validator nodes on the Energy Web chain, hosting validator nodes on a variety of blockchains. And the reason is, if you are an enterprise, in most cases, if you're an energy enterprise, why do you want to run a validator node on a blockchain? You really are interested in the application yourself. Running nodes on any kind of a public blockchain for a lot of these corporates introduces liabilities that just create issues for those businesses. The other thing we've learned is that those businesses in many cases want to use a variety of layer 1 solutions and even layer 2 solutions from across the kind of broad Web3 ecosystem, right? There are thousands of different blockchains out there, each with different technology stacks and communities of users and innovators, and many corporates in our ecosystem want to be able to tap all of those different users and ecosystems. So what's the answer for us? It's pretty simple. We go multi-chain, right? So that's what Mani's referencing here, and that's going to be a big theme for 2025, is still focusing on our 2 blockchains, maintaining the legacy Energy Web chain in some way, shape, or form to make sure these enterprise applications still run, but really just going multi-chain so that all of these applications are still powered by the Energy Web token, but enterprises are able to seamlessly interoperate with a variety of different blockchains. And most likely the first target for the first blockchain that we go multi-chain on will be Ethereum. So Ed, what
Yeah.
else do you think? Because you're obviously really well positioned across all these different Web3 projects, and you talk to them a lot
Yeah,
more
I
than
mean,
I do.
I would like to repeat some of your words in with my own words, you know. So when we built the consortium Energy Web we started in 2017, you know. So at that time, blockchain was absolutely new to everyone, you know. And so building a proof of authority chain, the rationale for having kind of all those corporates contributing to the chain at that time came from the reason that we experienced a split in Ethereum. So Ethereum had a hard fork into Ethereum Classic, and our anticipation at that time was that no regulator will jump on a technology that you know, where there is a risk of a hard fork. And so Parity developed this client for us, which was an Ethereum client, and this consensus algorithm, Aura, for proof authorities, where you just have a set amount of authorities, which were the corporates, and they created the chain. And so, and this chain was used for all the POCs, for all the trial and errors, for corporates to learn and so forth. And for us, it was like an environment where we could test all the different solutions. Meanwhile, our main focus, as Jesse said, was the solutions, which are now the worker nodes. And now we're at a point where we have the solutions running on the Pada chain, and we have the Energy Web chain. Now we need to increase the security of the solutions, which is the underlying blockchain, which means there will be like a governance call in the near future with the validators of the Energy Web chain. And what will be proposed in this call is that we change from proof authority to proof of stake. That will basically mean that anyone will be able to run a collator, a validator node on the new chain, and anyone will be able to stake. That will pretty much change the token economics into a very similar direction like Polkadot. So it means everyone can stake any type of amount on the chain, and that will increase the security of the chain, exactly like in Polkadot. And then the secondary, the secondary staking is then you can take that staked tokens, Energy Web tokens, and further stake them on a solution. And that is something I'm really extremely excited about, because now the token will unfold its full utility in contributing to the security of the chain, and furthermore contributing to the security of the solutions which run on the chain. And and you know, it had to take those 8 years learning with the corporates, with the regulators, how does the technology run, what do we really need to focus on. And now, to my opinion, we're kind of fulfilling the last 5% of the total vision we had in 2017.
And just to come back, because there's a lot in there, and Mani, I think it'd be great for you to dive in a little bit about what you're thinking on both the kind of architecture that Ed was describing there and what we're moving towards in terms of these different blockchains. But again, we're really looking at two things here that, as Ed said, are going to go through a process with the existing Energy Web chain validators alongside any needed kind of regulatory checks and approvals here. But again, it's really twofold. One is just going multi-chain, making it easy for us to gain both the security and access to innovation of all these different Web3 communities and blockchains that are out there. But then at the same time, updating the governance of the Energy Web chain. Proof of authority was a great starting point because it enabled all of these enterprises to get really hands-on with Web3 technologies, figure out what it means to store your own crypto, figure out what it means to set up really secure methods for storing private keys, et cetera, and then also just how to interact with blockchains and build simple applications. We're past that now. And really what these organizations are interested in are in the applications. So it makes much more sense to kind of migrate from proof of authority to one of these more modern blockchain architectures, right, where we have staking on Polkadot, we have staking on Ethereum. So just moving to a proof of stake architecture really just from an enterprise sense makes more sense, because we really are trying to focus the enterprises on the application layer, whereas we want to make it possible for anyone or any business to be able to become validators or collators in this ecosystem. But yeah, Mani, we've dumped a lot on the community here about multi-chain, the potential new kind of governance setup and proof of stake. What's top of mind for you on this new Web3 architecture that you want to get across to the community?
Yeah, of course, when we made the decision to go with the Polkadot ecosystem, like 2 years ago when we had incorporated into the design. And we have also introduced this lift and lowering mechanism from the Energy Web chain to Energy Web X parachain. We always had in mind that maybe a future of the Energy Web token would be a transitioning to an ERC20 on mainnet Ethereum, because we have seen that Ethereum has been transitioning proof of stake, and there are lots of benefits about that that is happened. So we have built in the mechanism for the bridging of the tokens from Energy Web chain to the Energy Web X. And as you all know, that we have also worked with Aventus, which is their token is eventually an ERC20 token on mainnet ETH, but it's bridged into the parachain token. So it would be exactly the similar concept, but for that we need to upgrade Energy Web X parachain in order to support multiple bridges possibility natively handled. So we are all talking about the native bridges because it's very important from the governance perspective that the bridging is handled by the actual collators of validators that if they're running on Energy Web chain and Energy Web X. And then, of course, to do any upgrades on the tokenomics, because the existing tokenomics is all implemented in Energy Web chain proof of authority, we need to make an upgrade. So we stop producing new tokens there, and then we incorporate new tokenomics on the Energy Web X, which it also enables us to go fully decentralized and apply the open governance, hopefully by next year. So basically, transitioning from the Energy Web chain token, which is on proof of authority blockchain, to an ERC20 is a huge achievement, because it provides us increased accessibility to the liquidity and adoption by integrating with Ethereum's like a vast DeFi ecosystem that would be natively provided. But one thing which is very important is the worker node networks. They can become multi-token capable. It means that the creators of those solutions, because right now the creators of those solutions, they provide rewards mainly in EWT. But with that, we can actually provide the solution creator to define how the reward is going to be paid and in what token is going to be paid. Just imagine you create a solution on Energy Web X worker nodes. It's going to be deployed into thousands of the worker nodes around the world, but the reward to those worker nodes paid in ETH or Bitcoin or any other tokens. But at the same time, the entire security of the worker node networks, it remains solely by staking of Energy Web tokens. And that's actually very important in order for you to be able to get into those solutions and be an operator for those solutions. You need to have Energy Web tokens. Then you can get rewarded in any other type of token. So this means that we go multi-chain. At the same time, we go multi-token capable for the entire worker node networks and Energy Web ecosystem, which is, I think, is the first of its kind. It's quite powerful. I have never seen such thing anywhere.
I think, Mani, this is one of the most exciting things that came out of working with a few of the partners that are partners of this concept of green Bitcoin. And where those partners, it was always difficult from the beginning to convince the corporates that were building some of the solutions with us to convince them to pay the solutions, pay the chain in Energy Web token, because corporates don't want to deal with a token that is highly volatile. And so it was actually pushed from this direction that they want to pay either in a stable token, they want to have predictive kind of cost of the solution and so forth. And in some of those solutions, it's even thinkable that, the solution will be paid in Bitcoin, which basically means, that I can now stake my token to contribute to the security of the chain. So in a proof of stake environment. And furthermore, stake them in, let's say, in a solution that gives me Bitcoin, which is incredibly interesting perspective. And those staking, it's not. You must look at this very careful, because the stake is always at risk, so it always can be slashed if there is a faulty kind of worker node provider, and that is actually the security aspect of the respective solution. So for me, what the real core product of Energy Web is, and all the solutions we build on it, is we basically competing with liability cost. And this you can kind of externalize into decentralized compute that is calculating the business logic, and there is a mechanism how that it cannot collude. Somebody can not hack the system, otherwise all the tokens that are staked are at a risk. And that literally took like 8 years to show what are we actually fighting against, and it's literally liability costs that we try to reduce with decentralized solution. And now anyone can pay it in any tokens they want. So, which means we will see probably rewards in USDT, USDC, Bitcoin, and many other tokens.
It's awesome.
So just to try and wrap all of this together to make sure I understand kind of the Web3 and crypto side as an energy and enterprise kind of geek first and Web3 guy second. So my understanding is later this year, sometime in the future, on the enterprise side, you're a energy company. You come in, you want to spin up some sort of a Greenproof registry. You want to spin up some sort of a digital spine solution for a given geography somewhere. I'm going to be able to go to launchpad.energyweb.org, which is the kind of gateway for our software as a service kind of products and all these different solutions. I can spin up one of those solutions. I can pay for them. And I can run it in an environment, and that includes configuring any of the needed worker node logic. And I can pick basically any blockchain that I want to have that L1 security and trust on. So that's on the enterprise side. And then what I'm hearing, I think, on the Web3 side is I'm a business, or I'm a retail investor in cryptocurrency. I'm able to go out and buy Energy Web tokens and stake them, and I can now become, if I have enough of those tokens, a validator or collator on the core Energy Web X blockchain. And then on top of that, because I basically am staking those tokens and I'm just earning awards. And that looks like awards on like Ethereum or Polkadot or something, right? Just by buying tokens, staking them, running a chain. Okay, running a validator node. And then on top of that, we have all these worker nodes running. And basically, I can join those worker node networks and be paid from those different worker node networks in different cryptocurrencies. Could be in Bitcoin, could be an Energy Web token, could be in USDC, whatever. Am I stitching all that together
it goes,
correctly?
If you want to have like some similarity, a kind of benchmark from the industry, it's basically like Lido. So you use on the one side you stake on the security of the network, you take a liquid kind of the LST out of this, the position, your stake position, which includes the rewards, and that position you can further stake on the solutions. And but it's important to know, that it's at risk, and so you would be interested to stake on reputable kind of validators on the worker nodes and on the collator side.
Yeah, I think just want to mention that by next week we're gonna announce that we open up like a payments with EWTs on our Launchpad SaaS platform. So I think it's pending for the announcement. Sorry about that, Daniel. But yeah, I think, and then
But be careful, don't spill too much, huh?
Yes, but with this, it's very important to understand. This means enterprises and Web3 users can actually engage with Energy Web using the assets that they own and they trust, rather than what you call jumping into specific tokens, which it really creates an unmatched flexibility. So the payments for the services and the solutions, it can be done with EWTs or with like a fiat payments as of from next week onwards on the Energy Web Launchpad. But payments for the rewards, in order to engage more audiences and more worker node operators all around the world, it can be done in any particular token. And that's going to be enabled via having like with this blend into the DeFi ecosystem of the Ethereum. Of course, we're gonna become the native parachains on the Polkadot ecosystem and all the tokenomics and also the integrations with the decentralized exchanges and all those having different kind of tokens via the asset hub remains there. So any kind of tokens, it can be moved into the Energy Web X parachain in order to be used as a rewards for the solutions. So yeah, basically that's about it. You were pretty accurate. So as an example, we launched Greenproof for Bitcoin last year. And I think everybody knows with one of our big players like PayPal, we have created an incentive mechanism for the green Bitcoin miners around the world. So, and all the operators are currently providing EWTs in order to become an operator, and the reward also pays in EWT. But just imagine it could be in the case that the they stake EWT, but the rewards to them, it would be in the form of Bitcoin, because that's just a lot more typical to be onboarded by the solution creator, because in fact the reward, it comes from the source, which is a Bitcoin. So if we can find a way to also pay in Bitcoins, that would be the best.
You know, I mean, to expand a
Got
bit
it.
on that, you know, so the foundation right now, as we were building the solutions with regulators and, you know, with corporates and in different consortia, you know, there is actually a bunch of solutions already running, and the revenue goes to the foundation so far. And so that is going to be one of the big steps we're gonna change in this year, is that this revenue goes directly to on-chain, and that is a very important step to further decentralize kind of our activities and open it up to much more solution providers to make their own design how they're gonna pay for the decentralized compute in whichever token. And yeah, that's something I'm very excited about.
One thing I want to say just for the broader community here is that, you know, as you think about the core of everything that we're talking about really are these worker nodes. And the question that I always hold in my head is, why would a business or enterprise use these worker nodes? Why would a business or enterprise rely upon a decentralized network of independently secure computers or servers to perform this specific work? And to Ed's point, it's really taken us about 8 years to construct enough of a catalog of real world, not prototype use cases for why that kind of a setup is possible. And some of our documentation on our websites is really starting to do a really good job of articulate the variety of real energy use cases. So for example, we have examples of why this kind of a computational setup is really a perfect fit for something like 24/7 renewable energy matching. Or on the other side, we have a very specific fit for why worker nodes are really the only kind of architectural fit that meets the requirements of businesses in places like Australia, where it's a deregulated electricity market. And we've set up an ecosystem where a lot of very sensitive business data is being exchanged between competing business entities. So I think for those of you that are out there and interested or thinking about running worker nodes, the question you should probably be asking yourself isn't necessarily, how many tokens can I earn? What is the staking threshold? I think the thing to really scratch your head and think about if you're considering hopping into the Energy Web token ecosystem is, why do businesses use this? And I think if you do some reading, you'll quickly become convinced. Just as an example, we had some folks on site with one of our largest corporate members. I will not say exactly who right now, but they're a customer of ours. And giving a briefing on everything we're talking about here and what's possible with these worker nodes. And a variety of their business analysts that works with a lot of different verticals outside of the energy sector, lights started going off. Because if you just think about a variety of the kind of issues that enterprises that are standing up software applications now face around security, data confidentiality, and things like data privacy, specifically in Western Europe and then where I'm sitting in California, there really isn't a good answer to meet some of these emerging new enterprise software requirements outside of a decentralized computational setup like Mani and the team have built. So that's just an encouragement to, if you're really trying to understand what we're doing, dig in on these worker nodes and the use cases that they're supporting right now, because that's frankly the kernel that's at the absolute center of everything we're talking about here.
So a couple questions here from the community live. Does this mean that we are stepping away from Polkadot? No. So we are going multi-chain, which means that Ethereum is an addition. So you can choose where to go, and the enterprises and businesses can choose where to deploy. Is that correct, Jesse?
Yeah, you got it. I mean, we need a blockchain to deal with all of the governance. We need a blockchain to be the one that's actually emitting the tokens for whatever governance and award mechanism is out there. Right now, that's Energy Web Chain, proof of authority. We have the tokens being released to all of the validators, and there's a curve for those tokens. What we're talking about here is just stopping the award of those tokens on the proof of authority chain, moving over to Energy Web X, and that's where additional awards would be released under different governance. But in that setting, we can still build applications and interoperate with any other blockchain that's out there. It's a much more elegant, logical architecture. And if we had had access to it 8 years ago, and if we had been working with these enterprises on that, we obviously wouldn't have done it. It didn't exist then.
You know, one of the most important things, you know, for, Just to hook in what Jesse just said with the worker nodes, I mean, the work that is being done by some of the solutions is one of the most critical work in an energy market, which is sending messages around dispatching renewables and, you know, to balance the grid. It's you know, if that doesn't happen, there is a blackout. You know, the liability costs of that are, you know, you don't, you cannot count that even. You know, there is no liability insurance for that. You know. And therefore, you know, the worker nodes is a really elegant solution here. You want to run this on a chain that has the highest Nakamoto efficient. You know, is the and that is something that Polkadot gives us. If you compare all the other technologies out there, it's definitely let's say the most decentralized in this aspect. Furthermore, you know, why we're moving the logic into the parachain is because Polkadot has been one of definitely the most advanced ecosystems in you know, in testing on-chain governance. You know, is the largest DAO. They have the palette for governance is quite advanced. So we definitely have to go into this direction to decentralize kind of the foundation's activity more on-chain, to give it more into the hands of the ecosystem. And but, you know, having said that, you know, we're looking at you know, the market trends are currently very much into the intense or kind of, you know, abstraction, chain abstraction, and that is where bridges come in. And that's why what Mani said, you know, we need to change kind of the token design, and it needs to become ERC20. It's easier to push the token into further financialization, you know, into DeFi, into other token systems and so forth. So and that is definitely enabled. We see this growth in Polkadot with the bridges and so forth, and we will definitely go down that road.
Awesome.
Yeah, one of the main benefits of the transitioning to an ERC20, so because I've been working with a lot of exchanges on the background, that we were actually testing the integrations with the centralized exchanges. One of the main difficulty was, like, our chain was fully custom chain, and, you know, the client is no longer heavily maintained. Of course, we have worked with a lot of partners to make sure they build our consensus mechanism into additional clients, and we keep on doing that, of course. But I think moving to ERC20 and for the context of the exchange listing is just a matter of a configuration for them. So it's just a lot easier for us to be blended and integrated into the broader DeFi ecosystem.
Yeah. So the enterprise side, they can choose where, what, and how. And on the blockchain side, we unlock obviously liquidity, easier listings, and those kind of stuff. That really that has been one of the most asked questions. Still,
I think you know, Daniel, for me, kind of the shift that we will see here now is very similar to the shift we have seen in the whole crypto kind of sphere. You know, I'm in this industry since 2012, and we were way too early for what we wanted to do. To be honest, we were exactly at the right time there. You know, and now the world is accepting crypto. Now the world is opening up to crypto. You know, and so for me, you know, the way I look at our history, what we have done in the last 8 years is literally just focus on the solution. You know, how can we advance the decentralization of the energy markets on the virtual layer? Because on the physical layer, it's going itself into decentralization. And so we have cracked the nut, and now Energy Web will be in need of much more computation, much more worker nodes. And I think now Energy Web as a whole will shift much more into this, you know, into more of the retail side, where we need to source more computation and increase the security of the solutions through staking. And I think that is the big shift that we will see in this year, where we will also be much more present on the crypto conference. Because frankly saying, you know, like, I have been on a lot of stages on the energy market side. In the energy markets, people know us. You know, they know if it's about decentralization, specifically on the regulator side, or in consortia, in a setup where there is a lot of companies that want to, you know, have a joint problem to solve. You know, in energy markets, everyone knows us. In crypto, very little people know us, because it wasn't our focus. You know, and that's where we now, I think, we have cracked the nut on the energy market. Now we're in the scaling, kind of in scaling stage. We will go into build more and more of those solutions, which has become fairly easy to build right now. And on the retail side, on the open market side, we need to source a lot of the decentralized computation that will be necessary for the solutions. That is kind of, for me, kind of the biggest shift that we will see from everything that happened in the past 8 years and now into the future.
Right now, we can walk onto a stage and say there are 1,700 nodes supporting these real-world enterprise applications. At the end of the year, what if we could walk onto a stage and here are 100,000 of those nodes supporting a variety of these enterprise applications? That's the kind of gravitas that we need to be able to go to a variety of these energy enterprises and say, you can trust this network to support these mission-critical applications.
Jesse, it's like, I want to maybe repeat something you said before, because to many people this is not clear what's actually happening there with the worker nodes. So let me tell you, the most secure business you can do in the world is very exclusive business. You need a lot of money, which is you buy a grid. You buy a grid in a country, and a lot of the grids are actually privatized. They're owned by private companies, pension funds or large hedge funds and so forth, a whole grid. So why is that the most secure business in the world? Because the regulator allows you to make 8% profit. It's and most of the profits, even they kind of, the more you invest, it's on capital expenditure is the 8%. So the more you invest, the more you can make profit. But it's and this activity that you do there is of national interest. That's why there is a regulator taking care of that, and they allow you to make 8% profit. So it's such an exclusive business. Was what we achieved at EnergyWeb. Some of those logic that is happening at this level and on the regulator side, on the transmission side, on the distribution side, is now being managed by a decentralized network where retail can participate in this business by contributing computational power and staking tokens. That is of incredible significance because we have basically cracked the nut of opening a very exclusive market to the whole retail.
So Mani, obviously, all the questions that are raising right now is timelines. When will this happen? Is it this year, next year, in 2 years? Can you tell us a little bit more, obviously, without giving exact dates on timing?
Yeah, I think definitely it's going to be this year, and it's going to be pretty soon. That's actually what it's immediately within our roadmap. So after finalizing the current audit, which is for the nominations of the worker nodes and also enabling the XCM channels, integrations with hydrations and on the Polkadot parachain. So yeah, we immediately proceed with deployments, and also basically it requires a lot of coordination with existing validators. Of course, we need to move them to become collators on EnergyWeb X. Of course, the voting need to happen, the agreements need to happen. We need to also draft the white paper. We need to publish the very detailed analysis of why we have moved to a new kind of transitions of tokenomics. So that's all the community deserves to have all those to be announced and communicated in a proper manner. But what is going to happen on the background, we will proceed with what is required to be deployed on EnergyWeb X, what is required to be upgraded on EnergyWeb Chain, and what is required to be done on the mainnet Ethereum. But of course, at one point of time, after all this testing is done, we need to also coordinate with exchanges for this transition from the integration with EnergyWeb Chain to the ERC20 token model. But of course, we're going to test everything on our test networks on the parachain side and also on the EVM chain side before we get into the production. So yeah, we are looking at very soon, but yeah, I can't commit an exact deadline because of course we need to do all those governance calls to happen on the background. Then we can actually get into more details.
Yeah, perfect.
And I would put out there, just to think about the timeline, Daniel, for the community, is that there's a number of governance things that are going to need to happen, right, which are already underway. But then on the other side, just to de-risk this for everybody, right, Ed, Mani, correct me if I'm wrong, we're actually pulling technology from existing production, other Web3 and crypto ecosystems to pull off this transition.
There is nothing new.
Happens. There's nothing new being built here, right? So this is really just taking the best in class technologies from these other crypto projects and applying it to our ecosystem. Now, of course, we need to audit them and make sure everything is going to work and go through this governance process. But again, We're not talking about anything new in terms of the cobble together these
Yeah,
different
exactly.
nodes.
And that was the whole purpose of this plan, that we did not want to take any kind of long timeline or extra risk. Of course, the most major part of what we have built was these worker node networks, the governance mechanism, and all those. But for the token transitions and all those things, it's just whatever it has been already in place. And I think Aventus Network is also using the exact piece of technology on the parachain side and also on the mainnet Ethereum. And on Energy Web Chain is just simply going to be upgraded to just transition over the new tokenomics on the parachain side. But one thing is very important is because of this much advancements of this governance on the Polkadot ecosystem and the substrate, we're gonna actually within slowly move into the full decentralizations, which means that all the governance and the decision makings and also the grants, it also would be managed in a fully decentralized manner, just like Polkadot ecosystem. So for me, as a person which strives for the full decentralization, I think that would be the best what do you call target for maybe the next year. But within this year, we're gonna do the full transitions for the multi-chain and multi-token support. And yeah, basically that's about it.
I see a number of questions out there on just monitoring on social, some of the about this conversation. I see one just about what's going to happen on the supply side of EWT here. Because obviously, if you move over to proof of stake and you have a bit more of an inflationary model, I think my answer to that would be we are inflationary now on the Energy Web chain. So you have awards going to these validators, and then you also have awards going into this community fund, right? Which at this point is quite large. I think what we're talking about by moving to proof of stake governance is it gives us way more flexibility and options, not as the foundation, but as an ecosystem. Other crypto ecosystems regularly decide what is the inflation going to be this year, right? That's an ecosystem kind of conversation discussion. We can't even have that right now because of the current governance setup. So transitioning to this proof of stake ecosystem, whereby both corporates that are staking tokens and running, in this case, collator nodes, individuals who are retail investors can all be a part of that conversation and say, what should if any, inflation be on X, Y, and Z year? So it's just a much more logical setup that give us as an ecosystem way more flexibility to attract the maximum number of users to run these worker nodes.
Look, I mean, the how to derive, how to set the rationale for this decision, which will be done by the validators, is very simple. Now we're moving into an area where we need a highly secure chain, the parachain, which is securing the solutions. And the metric that is being used throughout the whole ecosystem or crypto ecosystem is how much tokens are locked in for security. That is the TVL, of the parachain. And so there you need to create incentives for people to lock in the tokens, which is the rewards, And the same on the solution side, So I think we're going through these governance calls very closely, in the next couple of weeks with the governance, and then this will be made public there. One thing needs to be mentioned: Energy Web was launched in 2019. The first token models were designed in close cooperation, actually, with some of the founders of Ethereum in 2018. And at that time, there was no much research existing on token economics. By now, we have seen so much advancements in that regard. You talk about burn and whatever, locking in, and it's like all kind of token economics. But the primary goal is always to increase TVL, locked in tokens, which is the metric for security of the chain. And so I think we will look through all those benchmarks, existing out there to see what is the most appropriate for a chain that is literally securing kind of energy markets all around the globe.
That's awesome. Mani, one more question for you, maybe for Jesse and Ed as well. We have seen a surge in AI. Obviously, everybody knows what happened. I think it was yesterday already. DeepSeek launched, a couple billion was wiped from the market. Mani, last year we mentioned that we are looking at AI technology as well. What is Energy Web going to do in 2025 when it comes to AI? Are we building something? Is AI still in the picture for us? Oh, I can see the smell, Mani. Something is cooking there.
Maybe Jesse, you want to go first before? Yeah.
Yes. So the kind of most near-term application that we have some excitement about, and we've already built technology for, really has to do with first decarbonizing AI workloads, and then second, enhancing trust in the AI workloads themselves. And that's again using worker nodes. So the first use case that we're looking at is let's say, and I'm going to botch the terminology because I too am just learning everything about DeepSeek here. But I think the DeepSeek LLM that you can actually download and run on your own, is that R1? Is that right? Just to take a specific example. Yeah. So if you're using DeepSeek now on the web browser and I submit a query to that, or on my phone, because I just got the app on there, two things to think about there. One, you have no idea where those servers are. So you have no idea kind of the carbon intensity of those servers. And second, you can't really trust the privacy of the data being sent to those servers, right? So Mani, correct me if I'm wrong, but this year we can attack both of those problems using worker node networks. So first, imagine you're able to send a query to R1, specifically to R1 servers that are running R1 that are in grids that are low carbon. So basically using this carbon-aware compute solution that Mani and the team have developed, we have a worker node network that is constantly nominating servers and computers from places around the world that have very low carbon grids, so that we can solve that problem there. And then second, on the trust side, well, instead of sending your data to a centralized server that may be in China sending data to the Chinese government, what if instead you could be pinging R1 nodes that are running on a decentralized network of worker nodes, right? So those are just, frankly, Daniel, like very near-term examples of what we can pull off with technology that we've already built. I'm sure as we look further down the line, there's a number of other kind of innovations, and I certainly have some ideas. But again, just looking at the current state of our technology, there's value we can bring into this AI kind of energy nexus immediately.
That's awesome. Mani, tell me about the tech implementation, AI.
Yeah,
How's
so
it
of
going?
course we can have another dedicated session to talk about this, but I think we have been working on the background since last year. We talked about it last year that we are one of the main values that we see in these decentralized worker nodes to be able to participate in an AI. One thing that Jesse mentioned, of course, like a sustainable decentralized compute. That's one thing that we have been working on. And the second is basically this trustless AI enabled like a search applications. Like imagine, for example, for renewable energies and also the sustainability analytics and all those kind of things. These are the applications that we rely on fully decentralized AI. But yeah, just imagine that when we have all these worker nodes, they would be able to run open source AI engines, and they can run different kind of models. Like the model which is in the hype is the DeepSeek model, which it can be used. But most important is they will perform like federated learnings for the models, and also with trustless executions on the results of what it has been achieved. These are very important. But one of the most important aspect is that we gonna create basically a global cluster of the computes, and we're gonna distribute the loads for that is gonna be pushed into this AI engine to be applied on the same model in a clustered way. And so we are actually integrating those, and we already integrated these AI engines to run on worker nodes in the SmartFlow. It's actually going to go there, but we're going to actually implement it in 3 phases. The phase 1 is integrations of the open source AI engine with the worker nodes, and also applying this in the SmartFlow, so we can actually create the logic that relies on AI and push into those worker nodes. And the second one is this carbon-aware workload distribution that it would be enabled once we actually deploy the nominations next month into the Energy Web X. And then we're going to expand the AI compute like use cases that we're going to apply. Of course, as more computes and more worker node operators we have, is more powerful this will get, and more trustless learnings on the AI models will be applied. But yeah, one of the things very important that I just want to give a tease about this is we have been working with Green Software Foundations, and these carbon-aware compute, or these nominations of the worker nodes, they're gonna enable some new type of application. Just imagine the Energy Web website will have a badge of calling carbon-aware website. What does it mean? It means that if you are running 5 servers that they are hosting this simple website, the servers would be nominated based on the carbon aware characteristics. So that's one of the first applications that we're going to build. So the applications, websites, APIs, they can actually apply to get this kind of badge. And that badge provides the credibility that they really care about the sustainability. So the servers that they have, they're being load balanced based on the sustainability factors. And who performs those nominations? The worker nodes that we have on the network. So yeah, I think we're going to cover this on more individual kind of sessions, but this is in a nutshell what is coming on within this year.
Yeah. Well, awesome. That was a lot of updates. I can see that everybody is pretty exciting. Any closing remarks before we close off this meeting? Let's start with Weber. Ed.
Yeah, I mean, for me, kind of the current stage and why I'm so excited about 25 is, I said it before, so I think now finally our time has come. And when I look at the whole market, we saw a very big trend of this new kind of tag word DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure, and I to be honest, I love to see it, because it reminded me very much of our time since 17, 18, 19, when, energy blockchain was born actually in 2016, when we did the first presentation at the MIT Media Lab. Then we founded the Energy Web Foundation, and then there was over 100 startups born in a matter of 2 years in 16 and 17, and we were running a big conference, Event Horizon, at that time. I remember we had over 100 applications of startups to pitch there. 98% of the companies died, and there's less than a handful of companies that survived this, and specifically kind of the bear markets afterwards. And and then many years down the road, we see a similar market again coming up. There's again energy blockchain companies popping up, and so we basically have gone through a hype cycle, then into the shroud of delusionment for a few years. Whereas in that shroud of delusionment, we were actually building with regulators, and I think here is the biggest differentiator between what we see in trending in the market now, where pretty much all the DePIN projects, they are focusing on retail, and they paying them tokens, to provide some data, if it's sound or compute or whatsoever, but it's mainly retail focus, And the main differentiator between Energy Web and kind of the current trend of DePIN is we are deep in the woods with regulators. That's where the rules are being made, how the energy market is running. And I think what I'm really excited about is in the next 2 years, these two worlds will come closer together, the DePIN data and kind of the data that comes from Energy Web, where, it's literally the Energy Web. Our vision is literally building the Energy Web of identities. All the transactions are happening, but from the regulated side. And from the other side, we will see the DePIN information coming together, and then we will see magic happening. So this is something I'm extremely excited about to see in the next 3 years.
It's awesome. Mani, tech-wise. Well, not even tech-wise, Mani. Just tell me, what are you? Any closing remarks for the community?
No, I think stay tuned for more updates. What we're gonna do really, we're gonna have a lot more kind of regular live events like this. We're also gonna have a lot more deep dive sessions on the tech side, and basically to communicate about how the worker node network works, how to create smart flow, and how to actually build a lot more custom applications using the worker node networks. So we're gonna do a lot more sessions, but yeah, in the immediate short terms, we just need to make sure we get those finalized, we communicate, and then we also apply those in a timely manner. So we already have the roadmap very detailed. It has been identified, but we just need the final confirmations to proceed with the executions of the plan.
Perfect. Jesse, first of all, you will stay around, right?
I'm here for the foreseeable future. Yep.
Nice. Okay, cool.
He was never gone. He was always there. It's just like,
I just had to take care of my family, man. Come on.
Exactly.
Now.
He's getting a baby. I have babies.
You don't
money,
want to
has
believe
kids, you
which
know.
stories
like
we had, guys. We had stories about something happened to Jesse. He went away. Guys, he just got a kid. He will stay around. Can you imagine that people are still asking, Daniel, please ask the question. Don't avoid this question. Ask if he will stay around. Will Ed come live more? Yes, of course.
Look, Daniel, there is one message at the end to the ecosystem. Look, these 4 guys here, you know, we have been here. This like majority of us has been here since the beginning. You know, there is no one more convicted in this whole thing, Energy Web, as we are. So there is nobody walking away. You know, we're just getting started. You know, it's just our market is moving so slow on the energy side. You know, on the crypto side, you're thinking like in a few days matter. You know, looking at current market movements. In our side, no, we are here to change the energy market, and we have achieved that already, and now we're accelerating.
That's awesome. Let's keep that quote for this session. We are just getting started. Jesse, any closing remarks?
My last thing I would say is I'm an American. I'm sitting here in California. You know, we had Mr. Trump is now the president of the US. And on the one side, if you're thinking about the energy transition, there is some negativity there, right? Where people are saying, well, he's going to kill all of these environmental and sustainability regulations. Well, first, I would say the train has left the station. The energy transition is happening. But I would actually put an even more positive spin on it. Trump and his administration are absolutely taking the guardrails off of everything having to do with Web3 and crypto, at least in the US kind of regulatory context. And when you look at Energy Web, which is, I would say, arguably the most professional crypto project that is out there, we're in an incredibly strong position considering our background of engagement with regulators and now kind of the open season that has now come just in terms of the regulatory environment in the US. So it's a very bullish position, I think, for the project and the ecosystem to be in. And I, for one, am just really excited to see what happens this year and beyond.
It's awesome.
Yeah, just to add to a little bit to this, Daniel, you know, it's like many people don't realize because, you know, our market is so kind of, you know, there is a few hundred people that are actually working with regulators, you know, and it's kind of, there is a very limited amount of regulators around the globe. One must understand that why it was so important, why we worked closely with the Australian Energy Web regulator. The Energy Web regulator, the energy regulator in Australia is one of the most advanced regulator in the world. So every regulator that wants to advance, wants to kind of, you know, open their markets more for more renewables and so forth, they looking what are the Australians doing. And that's why it was so important to build the technology there first, you know. And we see it now, you know, in the last half a year already, there is more and more requests coming and more cooperation with other regulators around the globe. And now this will be advancing, you know, as the regulator in Australia is slowly rolling out this tech into production. And
yeah, perfect. Cool. So for everyone tuning in, thanks for tuning in. There will be some dedicated sessions. So for everybody that's here, there will be a new dive event coming up very, very soon. Then we will have an AI session, a session on token economics. For everybody that's now like, hey, how do I get my worker note? EnergyWebX.com. Check it out. And thanks for joining. See you guys on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.